Oh, yeah. We've got a game on our hands. Let's get ourselves in because the draft is nearly almost over. I'm Odie Pixel. I'm here with Draskell. You're here watching the Asus ROG Dream League Season 3. Burden United versus Asus.Polar. Game 3. Let's switch the overlays and see. Draskell, what have we got going on here?
I couldn't tell.
Am I moving my hands around like I'm some
Were you going for a high five? Because I just totally...
I don't know what I was going for, but it seemed very aggressive.
The hang time wasn't there long enough. Like, you just kind of went like this. Like, if you waited, like, maybe even like a quarter more of a second, I would have reacted, but... It's okay. All right, so...
sum it up.
All right, so let's talk about the game first here. Burden United going with more of the same with the Troll and the Chen pick. They're going to throw a Witch Doctor in here, which we haven't had a chance to see too much of. I honestly have no idea what's going on right now, but they are going to take the Slark off of Asus.Polar, which Illidan played fantastically in game number 2. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to win, and now Asus going with a very defensive lineup, if we're being honest here. Like Train Protector, Bristleback, Earthshaker, defensive heroes who can be aggressive, but you're playing around a Shadow Fiend. So the main goal is G, most likely going to be playing that. You want to get him as much farm as he can possibly get. Could be seeing the mech build that a lot of players are favoring nowadays. Maybe look at some early game push.
Indeed, yeah, a bit of a switch up in the drafts. Indeed, Burden United now with their final pick. They've got the Slark core, they've got their 2 supports in the forms of the Chen and the Witch Doctor and the Troll. They still need, by the looks of it, their offlaner, so Paris' hero. What are they
Could be a Clockwork isn't too bad against these heroes. Against Disruptor, it can be kind of frustrating because you can get glimpsed, but as long as you get a cog in a decent position, sometimes the glimpse doesn't matter. So we'll see if they want to try to go for a hero who has that off-lane space creating potential, as Spirit Breaker is already banned out. Axe is already banned out. So those are 2 heroes that you would say are go-tos for these types of positions. And Burn United, did they go Tidehunter? Tidehunter would actually work against this.
That would be a little bit of BMing. They've already taken the Slark from Illidan. Maybe they want to
They would kind of lack damage, I think, though, if they went Tide. Unless you're relying on that Slark and Troll mid to just carry you with a dual core late game.
It would be a bit of fun.
Yeah. Let's be honest, though. Bristleback against Slark late game, not good. You do not want to go against Slark late. No matter how tanky you are, Bristle's going to hit you and steal like 75,000 energy, and your entire team's going to turn into dust. But we'll see what they want to do.
Indeed. I mean, we're looking at this Slark picked up with the Troll. A very nice synergy there in terms of getting the Essence Shift stats, indeed. And also, just looking at the fact that they're running this Treant, it's obviously going to be FNG on the Treant. He's very, very good with the hero. We didn't really see the timing in the the earlier game where they didn't really get the Ags online and didn't have a lot of effect. Maybe in this game, where at least Burden United might be happier taking it later with the Slark. If it gets to that point, at least Asus.Polar with the Tree and Aghanims will have something that's going to make it a little bit harder for the rotations of Burden to catch them out. And in terms of kind of high ground defense, Asus.Polar pretty good?
Very good. Earthshaker is great. One hero gets out of position, you throw out a Fissure, they're blocked inside of the base. There's not really any way other than send home to try to save on this side. And they are going to go with the Clockwork pick. One of the only heroes that was really left if you're looking at offlaners and what Sakshka is feeling comfortable playing. I think Tide also would have been okay, but this one has a little bit more space creating potential, if you want to call it that, being able to take out those supports. And against Shaker, we've seen how frustrating it can be to try to land a Fissure when Battery Assault is in your face. It's not great.
Indeed, and it looks like we are going to be seeing the core Earthshaker. So DK Phobos on the Earthshaker, and then
well, he could just be going offlane as well.
Yes, I guess, the core offlane. Earthshaker by Phobos as we see him head out into the map. This is, of course, Asus versus Burden United, Game 3. And the final game of the day, final game of the week as well. We will not see you guys until Monday after this match, so hopefully it will be a good one. FNG Tuesday. Sorry, I'm being corrected. Tuesday. Sorry. Tuesday is when we're starting next week. So if you turn up on Monday, you'll be watching absolutely nothing. Anyway, AG is going to be on the Shadow Fiend. We're going to see Lil on the Disruptor. And finally, Illidan on that position 1 Bristleback. Draskell, what's going on the side of the Dire?
All right, we got Sakshka. He's going to be handling this Clockwork here in the bottom lane. Towards middle, we're going to have Sing playing on Troll. I don't even know why we introduced him anymore. He's literally always playing the same hero. Minot's going to be handling Chen here for the second time this series. We're going to have Witch Doctor played by Come With Me. And of course, that leaves Necroman playing on his Slark.
All right, okay, so Necroman's Slark, is it going to be as good as Illidan's Slark? It's certainly a big level to live up to. Illidan, very, very well renowned for the Slark play. And the Slark play from Illidan was very, very nice indeed in the last game. Just wasn't enough on top of what the rest of his team were able to contribute at that point of the game. But here we go, Game 3, the deciding game between these two sides on who's going to be able to qualify for the group stages in 4 weeks' time and get themselves well on the way to being at Dreamhack in Stockholm in June. So, mid lane Sing Sing Tron.
Jönköping.
Yeah, is it not in Stockholm?
No.
No. Okay.
It's okay. It's your first time. I'll forgive you.
Yes, I'm a Swede. Yeah, I'm about a 2K MMR Swede. Mid lane Sing Sing versus G. Who comes out on top of Draskell?
I think this matchup is a little bit more comfortable for G because he's played Shadow Fiend a ton, so he probably understands the way that this matchup is supposed to be played, as opposed to when he played Tidehunter and kind of just gave Sing a kill at level 2. I feel he wants his revenge. And either way, even if Sing comes out ahead in terms of overall CS, Shadow Fiend is great at shoving out the wave to prevent himself from dying, and he can also farm jungle stacks if necessary. Plus he has tree armor, so I doubt he'll be giving away that free kill here in Game 3.
Okay, and looking at the two tri lanes, so the soft lane Clock, going to be able to zone out the obviously melee Bristleback farming away here, but at the same time potentially very hard for Paris to get the kill because there's always going to be this glimpse to save whoever the Clockwork decides to go on in this lane.
I think in terms of overall laning phase, Burn United probably going to be getting a little bit less.
Okay.
Just because, again, they have a Chen farming the wood, so if his rotations are good, and Minuts are going to be really important in this game. Like, if he doesn't get good ganks, if he doesn't kill the Shadow Fiend, if he doesn't manage to find Phobos, then you're really only getting some tower push. And Shadow Fiend, again, is great against deep push. Just being able to deal damage to the creeps or stop the wave from dealing damage to the tower at all. So I like Asus early game chances. Later the game goes, Burn United have a Slark and a Troll, which I think trumps anything that Asus can put together unless this Disruptor gets like Aghanims or something crazy.
And Minot's doing some very, very nice stacking and farming here in the Dire Jungle, already hitting level 3 on par with the mid lane heroes on both sides. And we can see in the mid lane, the CS-wise Sing Sing is slightly winning the lane at the moment compared to G, but it is very close, 10-1 against 9-0. Top lane, there's a little bit of a wrap round, in fact, coming from the Witch Doctor up the lane, up the river, but Earthshaker realizes we'll back up, and FNG with a haste rune. It's a pretty scary hero to have the haste, and Sing Sing in the mid lane maybe needs to be a bit careful. FNG coming in with the haste, pops the Welling Axes straight away. The debuff will catch FNG, so he won't be able to get the punches through. Still tries to chase it, and the raises from G catch out Sing Sing. And even though the FNG hasted tree wasn't enough with the punches, the raises, they certainly were, and that's a first blood for the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane.
Exactly what you're looking for if you're G. Shadow Fiend, who gets ahead, have a tendency to stay ahead. I think he's going to be going for the very standard boots into Aquila build. Hasn't opted to buy a bottle, which is a little interesting. Maybe he's just going to get somebody to pull him some regen. I'm not really sure.
Oh, is that his bottle on the courier?
Is it? Did he just buy it now? Yeah, okay, he did. Yeah. He just had so much money that I didn't think that he had enough to buy boots, Wraithband, and bottle at the same time, but bottom lane. Yeah,
Paris thinking about going in, actually backs up. There wasn't enough mana on the Disruptor to throw anything back in return, but Bristleback was closing in, so maybe just a little bit scared of getting trapped in the tree line there between the Bristle and the Disruptor. But yeah, 1-0 on the board. G on the mid lane, throwing the raises down as he gets the bottle back on himself. He's going to be able to continue to sustain himself here. 15 against the 14. Still a very, very even matchup. And Minot's level 4 now. Continue to farm the jungle. Has just got a smoke sent out to him. So maybe looks to try and make a rotation fairly shortly. And who do you imagine we are going to see these rotations focusing at the start? The Shadow Fiend?
Shadow Fiend is probably the easy target if G is out of position. But if he's not, you probably go for the Shaker. Just wrap around behind the tier 1 top lane. Try to dive him. With a Slark, even Fissure defensively is pretty good. Probably not going to save him if the tether is there from the Slark. So yeah, I think top is maybe the best bet.
Yeah, Minot smokes up now. There is Come With Me as well about this rune spot. Sing Sing also. Sing Sing will bottle it up straight away. So no one on the side of Asus is going to be drawn towards this position. Minot's looking to head towards the high ground, but the smoke will get dispelled as Earthshaker is still hanging around here. So on the negative side, the gank is kind of stopped, but at the same time, Burden United now very well aware that the Earthshaker might have been looking to go on Sing.
I think it's really important for people to understand that when you're playing Shadow Fiend mid against any kind of roamy, ganky hero, the main thing is either you control your lane or you just shove it as hard as you can. You can't like let it sit on top of Sing's high ground, so G probably going to be looking to do that. The Chen not really finding anything though. He's still just farming away, Not a huge deal that he hasn't killed anyone yet. He's still getting roughly a level per minute. But the longer this goes on, without him having any effectiveness on the map, G is going to get farther ahead of this Troll Warlord because he's now got 26 into his Necromastery. And that means that last hitting against him is awful. He hits for 126 compared to Sing's 80 damage.
It's certainly a huge help in terms of trying to CS against Minuts with the wraparound now. Phobos, he is well aware of this as the ward was up and Minuts didn't decide to use this second smoke. He's still on cooldown, in fact. So it's going to be hard to catch out Phobos as he keeps himself very much back and in a safe position. FNG actually rotating as well, just to see if he can lend a helping hand with the point in Leech Seed and a couple of points in the Living Armor. Chen, he's still here though, and now he'll try and look to move in. FNG actually walks up a little bit further and, well, he has got the Nature's Guys, but Sentry's popped down and FNG kind of just turned up to offer his life there in turn for keeping the Earthshaker alive.
Not sure why he went so far forward. Even Phobos was standing so far away.
Yeah.
Had the Chen even rotated in on him, there was a good chance that he could have gotten away because he was able to walk back to the tower. But FNG just walks forward. He's like, whatever, man, it's fine. I'm fine. They're not all here or anything. But G, trying to save this tower, might end up paying for it, though. Unfortunately, the coconut bounce was not there.
Fisher, unfortunately, not catching Come With Me on the right side of it, so they won't be able to find the kill on the Witch Doctor. They do lose the top tower. 1-for-1 Burden United with the tier 1 down as well, taking the top lane, giving them that gold advantage at this point. Oh, mid lane as well. You see Sing closing in on G. Living Armor's going to protect the Shadow Fiend for a bit. The Razes in turn come out and they find a kill onto the Troll. So Sing's aggression not paying off in that situation, thanks to the Living Armor.
Triple raise. Very good if you can land all three. And the nice thing about Shadow Fiend against Trolls, we just saw it, you don't need to auto-attack him to kill him. If there's another hero there and he's forced to run, like running against Shadow Fiend's awful. Top lane though, Phobos gonna get caught out here by Minuts and Necroman. So they're gonna get another kill, which is nice. Still feel like Asus are getting a better early game though, overall. Because the two heroes that they need to get farmed are getting farmed. Even though Burden United have a Chen who's farming the woods, the Clockwork has gotten almost nothing. So I feel like Asus, all they really have to do is get a tower kill or two, and they'll be right on track of what they want.
Bottom lane, a little continuingly to be able to zone out the Clockwork, keeping him right back in the situation. 2-2. And 4.6k gold, as you were saying, Asus very well in terms of farm on the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane. Obviously, Shadow Fiend a very versatile hero. If we look at his item build so far, he has managed to pick up, of course, the majority of this mechanism now, which will be on his way very shortly. I mean, what do you kind of feel that G should be building in this kind of matchup after the mech?
The mech is pretty standard, and then you see stuff like S and Y. Sometimes people go straight for Scotty if you want to just tank up and try to push. I believe it was Asus.Polar we saw do that in a game yesterday, where G just went for the tanky Shadow Fiend build and then eventually goes for Lifesteal or Butterfly a little bit later on. And then you just have the Siege Engine who walks up high ground, who has like 2,700 health and hits for 350 damage, and you can't engage on him. So I feel what Asus want is their Crimson Guard up on the Bristle. They want their mech on the Shadow Fiend, and then they just want to fight. They just want to push into tier 1s, maybe get Roshan, take it away from Burden United, and go from there.
Farm-wise, Slark, second on the board, 3.9k gold, did pick up the Midas at around just before the 7-minute mark. So we'll almost certainly be climbing up that the leaderboard and catching up with the Shadow Fiend relatively shortly. He's been pretty much undisturbed in this lane. He's been able to find quite a lot of farm with the help and the backup of the Witch Doctor aiding him at most of these times. And we're kind of seeing, Shadow Fiend, I imagine they'll get the mech sent out to him. Now, was it G as well that had the game where he waited until he had quite a bit before he actually got it sent out to him?
He sent it the entire thing at once.
Yeah.
He probably hides it, so when he decides to do a 5-man push or somebody tries to go on him, that it's a bit of a surprise. Same reason why you hide the Shadow Amulet when you're making a Shadow Blade, because you don't want the enemy to know that you're building it, and then once you have it, it's like a free kill or something like that. So it can be good, and maybe his team just needs the courier for whatever reason.
Now Slark with the treads on top of the Midas. He's going to be in a fairly safe position if the rotations do come in. Bottom lane, we see, well, the heroes of the Disruptor and the Bristle fairly deep. There's a smoke up, Paris wrapping round, has got the backup of the Chen as well. Hookshot straight in, catching out Disruptor, who will glimpse back the Clockwork. Now Minus with the rotation, Troll trapping up the Bristleback, and also Necroman TPing in as well. If I Disruptor G with some big raises, bringing them low, but the Hand of God gets them back up. The Death Ward destroys the Shadow Fiend. It's a double kill for Necroman, and the Death Ward's still hitting away at Illidan, but the Quill Spray stacks, they're too much for the side of Burden United. It's a triple kill, and it may very well be an ultra kill. There we go. That's the power of the Quill Spray stacks. 10 minutes into a game, Illidan Storm Rage on this position 1 Bristleback, absolutely destroying the side of Burden.
The heroes were so tanky. They had mech, and the Death Ward killed the Shadow Fiend straight up. So the positioning right there from the Witch Doctor was insane. And the cask bounced perfectly that entire time, so there was no way that G could even run away from it. All things considered, that was as good as it could have gone for Burden United. Still ends up being awesome for Asus. So we're going to see it here. Really cool smoke coming up from Sakshka. Gets great position, hooks in straight away. He eats the glimpse. So at this point, there's no interrupt left for the Witch Doctor to just throw his ulti. So when he gets down here, even though they've already lost a Disruptor, it's like all these cask bounces between the range creep and G just kill him straight up. He gets his mech off before he dies. And then Illidan's just like, yeah, whatever. I got a Vanguard. It's no big deal. The rest of Asus comes in. Really nice fissure coming out that hits pretty much everyone. And then it's just quill him defoe. They're all dead.
Indeed, and we saw from the fire cap about 8 Quill Sprays used there, and more than enough to get up to the max stacks and blow up Burden United's team. And 6-4, Asus in a position where, in terms of like rotations, Burden United were doing better. But Asus did have the superior farm. Now they've got the superior farm, and they've had a very, very successful team fight under their belt. There was about 3,000 XP gain, by the Bristleback. A huge, huge lead there. And as we can see on the boards, it's now beginning to swing back towards Asus's favor. Now, on the bottom lane, FNG hanging around. Necroman is trying to push the lane out. Bottom lane, Paris standing his ground as the Bristleback and the Disruptor do still hang in the bottom lane. Necroman going to work on this tier 2. FNG on his own really can't do much to stop the Slark. Illidan coming in on the bottom lane with the Crimson Guard now complete on top of the treads before this 12-minute mark.
He's so tanky.
It's pretty damn disgusting.
Engaging into Illidan is almost suicide at this point for Burden United. I don't even think they want to try to fight this. Glyphing the tower you do, obviously, because your glyph refreshes every single time you kill a tier 1, so that's understandable. But if G and Illidan are together, and you have Mech Crimson fighting that, you don't have the damage. You need your Chen heal up, you need to make sure that the Witch Doctor gets an amazing Death Ward. That's the only way I see them being able to take a fight at this point.
I mean, even in that last fight, it did get a very, very good duration of the Death Ward.
Didn't even matter.
It just wasn't enough against the mech. And against the fact that Illidan was just able to bring them down so quickly. Now, 4 heroes on the side of Asus rotating towards the mid lane. They've taken the tier 1 in the bottom. It would be nice to take the tier 1 in the mid. Illidan checking out what's going on around the Ancients. Seeing if any stacks have been created. It's only the single lot of the creeps at the moment. Have a quick pause. FNG finding some farm on the top lane. 766 gold in the bank. On top of the brown boots, almost certainly going to be working towards that Aghanims. And if he manages to find involvement in some of these team fights that Asus are finding, he could find that money fairly quickly indeed. So we're just having a few ping issues. Hopefully we'll be back on with the game. But so far, you were saying Asus were looking very strong in the laning stage, even though Burden United were finding a few pick-offs. Do you still feel Asus, it is their game to lose at the moment?
This is their timing.
Yeah.
Asus team scales very well into around 25-minute mark. Everybody who plays Shadow Fiend gets these really tanky items. You get your mech up, and then you just try to take team fights. So with the Crimson Guard, in conjunction with that, they're definitely going to be looking to get as much map control as they feasibly can. Look towards Roshan when you're trying to siege your tier 2s, and kind of just push your advantage that way. The way that Burden United have played it, the biggest difference in Golden Experience at the start was just because they had a Chen. The entire difference of Golden Experience was Minuts farming the woods and then killing the off-lane tower. So without that, it's just like the 2 cores on Asus offer so much more right now than what Burden United do.
Bottom lane we see Lil on the Disruptor TPing in, maybe seeing if he can catch one out with the Static Storm and Kinetic Field, and he will find Necroman, not in the party ring though. Overgrowth holds him still for a little bit, but Disruptor pays with his life. Necro now going for the TP out, will be able to escape. G trying to chase down Come With Me, and another pause unfortunately. And double damage rune is bottled up by G, so he's almost certainly going to be able to... it depends if it's up to him if he wants to pop it and kill the Witch Doctor, but I kind of feel either way, Witch Doctor's probably going to die here.
Well, I mean, he's not really that fast. That's the thing. Like, Witch Doctor is a pretty speedy hero, so he throws out a cask. He has higher base movement speed. G probably doesn't catch him unless he gets caught off by the Shaker. So we'll see if the Shaker's able to get in range.
Ah, yeah, here's your fish, yes. Come with me. He sees the escape, he just can't make it. G with a kill there, 272 gold. That's his Yasha finished. Belt of Strength as well. On his way to that S&Y, which he'll have very, very shortly. Coming up to 14 minutes in. With the double damage, going to be able to utilize it a little bit more onto this tier 1. Fortification coming out from Burden United. They won't be able to stop this. They're looking for objectives elsewhere. We do see them in the pit at the moment, going for Roche, Sing Sing, Paris, and Minus. And they will be able to find the Roshan, but they do lose their third tier 1. And again, another pause. Wow.
Yeah, we're going to remake, apparently, because the server ping for Asus is not great. So they're asking for just a reload. That's why we had to wait until the next minute mark. Because it loads via that. So we'll have the next game coming, or next game, but the continuation of the third game in a minute. Let's see. Okay, so they're asking to finish up like Roshan because they were doing it, I guess, before the pause happened. And
I think as well, I think the ping's fixed as well.
Yeah,
okay,
cool. So we're not going to have a remake. We're good.
Back to the game.
Everything's fine.
We're good. We're good to continue. So anyway, yeah, tier 1 goes down, but at the same time, Burden United find the Roche. They find the Aegis onto, I believe it did go to the Troll, I'd imagine. Sing Sing at this point going to be the superior carrier. Yes, indeed. And net worth still G on that Shadow Fiend at the top of the board. You see both the Earthshaker and Treant still hanging around maybe for a little bit too long, as yet they're going to TP out now. Paris rotating in with the hook shot available, and the Witch Doctor was there as well with Death Ward off cooldown also. So 7 to 5 in the Radiant jungle. Slark is going to be leaving, does not want to hang around too much. The push was coming through from the Chen creeps, they get taken back, and at the same time living armor from the Treant should be able to recover the majority of the damage done to that tier 2.
I wonder how pressured Aces feel to be able to push into these towers. Definitely waiting for G to finish up the S&Y because it gives a pretty good amount of health. I think with just mech, S&Y, and strength treads, you have roughly 1500 HP, which at 15 minutes in, obviously a ton. It's a lot to break through if you're a Troll Warlord with no BKB, for example. But I still think they want to kill these tier 2s before the Troll, before the Slark get BKBs, because then Slark doesn't care about Tree at all. Slark is one of the best cores against Tree in the game because he can get rid of living armor immediately, and then you can also Dark Pact off Overgrowth, and you don't have to use your BKB just to get rid of it. So there's like a multitude of reasons why you don't want to go late game against Slark if you're Asus. Bristleback matchup, also kind of the same. And unless the Shadow Fiend builds some really heavy carry items, the Slark will be able to out-carry a lot of the members of Asus. It's going to be down to almost the Disruptor to try to find some openings here. As
Slark goes in onto FNG. FNG with the Nature's Guise. Maybe they can turn this around. Necroman now without the Shadow Darts. Yeah, getting glimpsed back. He is not going to be able to Dark Pact himself out the party ring. Disruptor finding the kill there. And all in all, Necroman just a little bit out of place there. As, well, side of Asus do commit a lot of heroes, but that's the kind of kills they need to be finding.
As Asus play Slark quite often, it's no surprise that they understand which supports do well against Slark. They have Shaker, who is almost all ground-targeted abilities, and then you have Disruptor, who can catch even the most slippery of targets. So, FNG, hello?
Oh, that's going to be the...
Well, he didn't pause, so it wasn't lag, which is good.
Ping issues, 166 MS, but it doesn't matter. Paris is going to get caught out by a fish here anyway. Hook shots into DK Phobos, get himself out of the party ring, but the party stops now as they do bring him down. Shadow Fiend with the kill, and now onto the tier 2. And 9 to 5, 16, 17 minutes in. All tier 1s down. The tier 2 in the middle lane going down as well. You're talking about Asus having this early game advantage. They're pretty much going at the pace they need to, aren't they?
Prior to BKBs, their team fight is way too much for Burden United to deal with. Again, Crimson, they got the mech. Illidan is a beast in terms of tanking. It's 1700 health. He's got the max Bristleback on top of that. And G, the 1500 health. Oh, here we go.
Indeed, the ring catching out Sing Sing. And well, Sing Sing is...
Oh, that glimpse.
Yeah, glimpsed out of the fight immediately. Right back down to bottom lane. Illidan getting caught out by the stuns here from the Centaurs. He'd have the living armor buying him some time. His faith is tested, but the damage is not a lot at all, being reduced by that Bristleback. Burden United looks like they will be able to keep Asus off the tier 3 and the racks for the time being. Sing Sing is making his way back to the fight. coming round by the secret shot. Illidan's still fairly far forward. Converting United look to try and run head first into this. Sing Sing waltzing forward. He's going to be able to get the slow onto the bristleback, but gets glimpsed back again for the second time in this team fight. Hookshot straight into the middle. Very nice. Cogs catching out too, but straight away with a static storm, making it hard for Burden United to turn up to the fight. Paris will go down. Illidan, he's still alive. These coil spray stacks still building up. Necroman with the Shadow Dance trying to chase them round. Giada, the Death Ward, actually gets thrown down there to dispatch of the Disruptor. And then Necroman tries to catch the bristle, but he TPs out and he will escape, so it's just ending up being a 1-for-1. But Burden United do lose the offlane clock for the support Disruptor.
That was such a nice play by Lil. Like, honestly, to know to storm there instead of... It's very tempting to just storm over the person that's attacking you, right? Like point blank, just bam, drop my storm. But if he didn't put it there, I think they all would have died because there would have been another stun coming in from the Witch Doctors. So they should have lost a lot more, but didn't lose much at all. Like just a Disruptor for a clock. Even that's a trade normally Asus would be happy taking. And G was just like, yo, I'm peacing out, going bottom to farm later. And then his team was left to their own devices, and they did quite well under the circumstances.
And I mean, we were seeing as well in that team fight how hard it is for Burden United to kill this Bristleback at this point. Illidan Storm Rage storming up the network, second position at the moment. In the jungle, Necroman trying to catch up with the farm. With the Midas, it's certainly helping. 2.4k gold in the bank. What does he need to get next? Do you think we are going to need to see some kind of damage item like the Skadi, just so we can kind of stand up and fight against the Quill Spray spam?
Yeah, in this game, you don't need to build direct damage. You just need to be able to tank up through the... Like the Requiem, for example, the ES Echo, and Illidan is quite far out of position here.
Has no fear at all. I mean, with the Living Armor, Crimson Guard,
okay, he's actually God.
Taking no damage at all. Just turns around and starts going straight back in. Gets the slow onto Minuts. 1 stack, 2 stack. Doesn't want to quite chase it up to the high ground now, but the rest of his team, Asus.Polar, ready to try and break high ground. Tier 3, there we go. Damage coming through. Illidan just being topped up constantly by the Living Armor. Come with me, throws out a Paralyzing Cast. Fortification will come out for the side of Burden United. But the Tier 3 tower very, very close to dropping. A few more punches should do the job. Fisher catching out Sing Sing. Hookshot now onto 2, catches G and Illidan. G gets 4 stuffed out. The Death Ward doing a fair bit of damage, but finally gets cancelled. G will go down. He's the first casualty of this fight. Illidan getting fairly low. There's your Static Storm and the Overgrowth holding the side of Burden United back and in that. So they do get a Tier 3, but they do lose the Shadow Fiend. And I think that is going to be it for the fight, as the rest of Asus are able to safely retreat.
That was a really good defense, though, from Burden United. Not losing more there. It looked really grim, as if they were going to lose the entire racks, but a nice hook shot coming in from the Clockwork to isolate 2 very important heroes, and then Come With Me reacts immediately with a Death Ward. Lil tried to glimpse him sooner, but he walked into the Cog. So it took him another 2 seconds maybe to cancel it, and in those 2 seconds, the damage that G took was simply too much.
Indeed, and we see Paris now heading over into the Radiant jungle alongside Chen and Slark, who are already over here. The side of Asus are aware of this. They did see FNG with the Nature's Guys scouting this out, and Asus, they're ready to fight here. Can they catch someone out? Paris cogs himself in, will TP out. He will be able to stop it with the glimpse, though, and certainly Clockwork, he is in a very, very bad position, and he will get blown up. Earthshaker, DK Phobos there finding the kill. And yeah, Clockwork, a little bit of an ambitious CP there.
The cogs were a nice idea, just that Lil had the foresight to drop the field, which gives vision, so he knew that there was going to be someone there. And because glimpse range is completely insane, there's no way that he wouldn't have gotten that TP canceled as long as they understood that he was in that particular spot. But Burden United, I don't know why they feel like they had to be in that position in the first place. I would be really happy with the fact that I just defended my high ground against the kind of push that Aces have. That push can easily break your base at 20 minutes in, and they defended against G, who is absolutely massive, and Illidan, who's pretty much in the same boat. So I think you just kind of play a little bit safer and farm, try to defend your high ground, and wait for your Troll and your Slark to both come online. Because now, Come With Me's got Aghanims, right? So the next time he gets an ulti off, if Lil is not on point with his glimpse, that Aghanims is going to completely rip through Aces.
Yeah, this is not bad timing at all for the Witch Doctor Aghanims in a position where they are being pressured in the base, and we haven't really seen them find the opportunity to get, well, let alone their supports out onto the map and looking for the farm. So Yeah, maybe this Aghanims is going to be a nice little turning point, but it's going to be quite hard to get the full duration off, especially if Disruptor's solely looking to try and cancel that death ward in the fight. And he's got a massive multitude of spells to do that with. In terms of the core, Slark has picked up the first ultimate orb, 2.4k gold on top of that. So closing in on the Skadi, and also the Skadi potential for the Shadow Fiend on the side of Asus. Looking pretty close as well. Has the first ultimate orb, 2.4k, has enough for the second, and also very close to his Skadi, and that is on top of his S and Y as well. Roshan is up. Asus, they have 4 heroes around here. Sing Sing, Nuts, and Clockwork are also in the neighborhood. So we might see a fight potentially kick off here. G waltzing into the bottom lane, trying to push this lane back out. So they've got a little bit more map control in terms of trying to catch out any hero that wants to try and take Roshan on the side of Burden United. I mean, at a Roche fight at this point, is there a clear winner, Draskell?
Asus clearly have an advantage here. I mean, you have Overgrowth, big AoE, you have Static Storm, also an AoE, Bristleback, AoE damage. Like, everyone on the side of Asus has some form of AoE output to just kill everything. However, if Burn United get a good Death Ward, this is like one of the most important things for their team fight. Sing has a 9-second BKB, so he can go in, he can tank up the damage. Come With Me needs to be perfect with his Death Ward usage. If he sees the glimpse being used by Lil, that's when he can finally go ham. Just drop his Death Ward and just say, look at it go, and hope for a really good cask bounce. But Asus, they're going into Roshan here, and Burn United have a really good position on them if they take a fight like this.
Oh boy, yeah. Illidan Stormrage heading straight up the river, up to the high ground. There comes the Paralyzing Cast, bouncing between G, Little, and FNG. There's a huge Static Storm catching out 3, and Illidan storming in with the Crimson Guard. There comes your Hand of God. Little fairly low, but will get topped back up by the Living Armor. Illidan is taking a lot of harassment. Sing Sing hammering away with those axes. Phobos with a big Echo Slam there in the middle of that kinetic field. 1 hero, 2 heroes down on the side of Burden. Come With Me gets the Death Ward out. He's looking at it go. He will find 1 kill onto the Earthshaker. Won't find anything else. Come With Me gets punched down by G. It's only the Sing Sing and the Slark left alive here. And Sing Sing getting trapped in the ring. Oh my doodaloo, he goes down. 1 hero left on the side of Burden United, and it is the Slark. Necroman, he's all alone. He'll have to get himself back to base, and Asus, after another very, very good team fight, will be able to get Roshan here.
That Fissure into Static Storm just ruined them. Like, Come With Me was looking for a spot where he could channel his Death Ward into the river just to try to deal damage, but he saw Lil standing right there, so he says, I can't Death Ward until this hero is somehow out of the fight. I think in hindsight, it would have been better had he just thrown the cask and just immediately used it, because then everybody like panics and like, oh god, we gotta stop Death Ward, you know, maybe they use a couple abilities and Come With Me. But everyone on the side of Burn United was standing right on top of each other. 3 people got fissured into a Static Storm. They had a really good position and they kind of squandered it by just grouping up.
Indeed, and you don't want to be standing as close as that, especially as you were saying, going into that AoE damage. That's pretty high up on one of Asus' strong points with the draft that they have got this game. Burden United, they are pretty much all back up. We see on the graph net worth, this is the biggest lead we've seen so far in the game. And XP-wise, just because of the way that Burden United have been farming, they've been able to kind of maintain control for the most part of it, but now it has swung back towards Asus. And Asus now looking to take the final tier 2 from the side of Burden United on the top lane. And with the G and with the Illidan Stormrage, they should be able to do it. Rocket Flare comes out just to try and spook them a little bit, but it's not spooky enough. There goes the tower. All tier 2s now lost on the side of Burden United. And okie dokie, what is the plan now for Asus, Draskell? Do they keep putting the pressure on, or does it not really matter?
You go mid. You still need the racks.
Okay.
There's no way they can feel confident in going ultra late against Troll Slark. There's no way they would win that, but Come With Me getting caught out. This is really bad. He has no buyback. That is the one hero that you really don't want dead, other than a core, because his output of damage, his potential damage in a team fight is completely off the charts. So with him dead, no buyback for 40 seconds, this is a disaster.
There we go, Illidan up to the high ground. Necroman pouncing away, does not want to get caught out by that nasal goo. Sing Sing, is he going to be able to do anything to stop this pushing power? The racks, half of them already down. Now they're looking to take the second one, and there just doesn't seem to be anything that Burden United can do to stop this, at least until the Witch Doctor will be back alive with that Aghanim's Death Ward. Fortification comes out, but it won't be enough to save these middle racks as they do get cleaned up. And of course, with all the tier 2s off the map, Asus could very well look to continue the pressure onto another lane. They're going to head to the top lane, start to work that creep wave in as well. Burden United, they will have the full roster for the next defense. And in terms of high ground defense, is it enough from Burden?
It's really good. Clockwork is great, so is Witch Doctor. Troll and Slark, both very good heroes at fighting if you can get a good position on a hero. So if the Slark gets a lot of stacks during a team fight, he can become an absolute nightmare in terms of the damage that he deals. It's just that can they last long enough? Because Illidan, he's got this Aegis. G, he's got 2,500 health. He's got a Talisman of Evasion on top of that, which most of the damage coming out from Bird United is auto attack damage now. So his effective HP is through the freaking roof. I don't know if they're going to have the damage output to kill them without spending buybacks.
Eden slowly chipping away at this tier 3. Burden United, in comes the hook shot onto Illidan Storm Rage, but the damage from the Quill Sprays, so much blinking, Echo Slam, the Kinetic Field and Static Storm being thrown down. DK Phobos getting fairly low, he will be the first to go down in this team fights. In comes the Death Ward, he's trying to look at it go onto the Illidan Storm Rage, but he won't find the kill. Illidan with a double kill. Now the Aegis does finally get popped. G, he's still alive, even with Necroman hammering away with these essence shifts. It's not enough now with Sing Sing coming in as well. They do find a double kill for the Slark, and Necroman might be able to find more going in onto the Disruptor. The Illidan Storm Rage is going to be able to find any kind of return kill. Necroman needs to get out of here now because Illidan is pretty damn scary. They have already used the Pounce and the Shadow Dance, but it looks like Slark will be able to slip away into the shadows. 3 heroes down. Illidan maybe thinking about going in on Sing Sing because Sing Sing wants to try and find the Bristle. There we go. Necroman finally finding the Disruptor off the back of the fight, and Sing Sing trying to chase this one down. Gets 4-staffed forward. Can they close this gap? Necroman with the superior move speed because of the fact that he is in the shadows. Really wants to find Illidan. Necroman, I don't believe he's got a Basher of any sorts or anything to stop this TP, so Bristleback should be able to get out of here. And Illidan TP's away, out he goes, looks for a hook shot. It's just a little bit too late and a little bit off point. But you were saying how good the high ground defense was from Burden United when they've got a full lineup, and even though they lose a couple of heroes, it certainly worked out there. They keep them off their racks.
That was some serious 322 from Asus. Did you watch Illidan? Like, why would he dive a Witch Doctor, and then the Earthshaker goes in, misses his Echo pretty much, like it dealt some damage, but he echoed basically a BKB Troll Warlord, and then the Bristleback with an Aegis, instead of turning around to help his Shadow Fiend, he tunnel visions a Witch Doctor past a tier 3 tower. That was not the dream. That was a really, really poorly executed fight from Asus. They could have easily just turned around and said, okay, whatever, you know, he threw out a cask, we'll just back up. If the Slark goes in, we babysit G so he doesn't die, and then we just go ham. Because now look at how many stacks this guy has. He just crushes people.
He pops the Overgrowth FNG, but Necroman will look to chase this one down. Maybe not, he's got the gem, but it doesn't feel like it today. Knows that there's some backup around for Asus, and doesn't want to get too greedy, doesn't want to pull a Danny Storm Rage at this point. 18-12 though, Asus still with the KD advantage. Net worth and gold graph, if we have a look at them, I don't think the difference is going to be that great now. It's only, 5k in terms of net worth. 30 minutes in, that is not the end of the day, and Illidan getting caught out by a hook shot. Come with me's there as well, has the Death Ward, into the cogs it goes, and with Necroman holding the Bristleback in place with the Pounce, Illidan, he's going to go down again. A dominating streak now for the Slark. Illidan down for 60 seconds, and Miners trying to chase this down. He gets the slow onto FNG. In comes Necroman with that gem. They're going to pop down the kinetic field to hold back the side of Burden United. They glimpse back the Slark, so it'll be very hard for Burden United to catch out anyone else here. But again, Illidan in a position where he shouldn't have been.
It's really not great for Asus. You can't, even with a racks down against what Burden United have, they can still very easily win this game. And that's the thing that we were kind of emphasizing earlier is Slark Troll late game, you can't win against it as what Asus have, because FNG doesn't have his Aghanims. He's not pushing out the lanes all the time. If you look at the lanes right now, the only one that's pushed in really is like the bottom lane. And it's like, okay, well now they're pushing down mid. They're going to get this tower. BKBs are up on Sing. The Slark could potentially buy one soon as well, or actually he does have one, and it's 10 seconds. So the power spike right now of Burden United is insane. And now you really have to worry about, can we even crack the base anymore because of how farmed Necroman is getting and how farmed Sing is getting. So yeah, that error top lane, you have an Aegis push that you fail that hard against a better late game team. This 6.83, man, you can't do that.
Yeah, the swing is certainly real indeed. Burden United.
Oh, he does have an Ags now. Okay.
Okay, so the Treant Ags, 32 minutes in. Not the quickest, but it's certainly coming at a time where it's still going to be very relevant because, I mean, if Asus keep playing like this, I don't see them taking the game anytime soon. And it also is going to take Burden United at least a couple more team fights for them to really have the superior power and push to take down the structures from Asus, especially seeing as the Radiant, they do still have all the tier 2s in place. So there should be time and opportunity for the trees to come into play, but we already have, of course, this gem on Necroman, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see him maybe picking up a Quelling Blade. If he does have a slot for it, he doesn't really, I mean, yeah, he can't really drop any of those items, to be fair, so he might need to look at handing off the gem to someone else if they want to start dewarding these trees, which they're only going to be able to do a Quelling Blade, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. There's no spells that they're going to be able to clear it with elsewise. Yeah,
just Quellings.
Yeah.
But if you buy a gem and you have a courier or something, you can scout out most of the trees, no real problem. It's okay that he has it now, but okay, this Chen is on a mission, and he's gonna find out. That it's not a great one. All right.
That's well, but yeah.
I have no. He didn't even have a ward. Like, I looked at his inventory and I'm thinking, okay, is this going to ward? Okay, JK doesn't have one. Weird. I mean, is he just like the team's martyr? Just, oh yeah, I'll scout him. Found him, guys. Keep farming.
I wish I knew, and I wish the rest of Burden United did. They're probably a little bit speechless after that, just like Chen. What are you doing? Into the Roche pit. Rochan is, of course, back up. DK Phobos trying to clear out these creeps that have been sent in by the side of Burden with the Chen.
Okay, so if they get this Roshan, Asus could finish the game. But Burden United know Chen's going to be up in 10 seconds. This team fight has massive implications for both teams.
Oh boy, hook shot in. Cogs are going to hold Illidan Storm Rage in place, and DK Phobos does pop the BKB. There's a very nice kinetic field and static storm containing a few of them. Sing Sing has held back for a little bit. They've already lost the Witch Doctor on the side of Burden United. They will be able to take down G. Perhaps he's getting very low on this Shadow Fiend. No, he waltzes out. The kinetic field should be able to save him. Out comes the Slug. He pounces up to the high ground. Sing Sing caught in the middle of 4 heroes on Asus. Fisher holding him in place, and the punches are there. That is going to be the Troll Warlord going down as well. 2 heroes fall on the side of Burden United, and Asus, everyone stays topped up and fit and ready to fight to finish off the Roshan, and they will find the Aegis.
Oh, they actually give it to the Bristleback again, so G will probably hold on to the cheese. He can finish up his Butterfly here at the side shop. I think the courier has the quarterstaff. Yep, there we go. So he'll have Butterfly for this push. No MKBs out on the side of Burden United, so this item timing is great. Asus looking in a really nice position there. At the start, it looked horrible because Illidan was stuck in cogs inside of the Roshan pit and a fissure, but no damage output enough to kill a Shadow Fiend after the Requiem went off. That 50% damage reduction on top of tree armor and overgrowth pretty much just saved him.
Here we go, round 2 for Asus. They're going to try and break the base on the top lane a second time, and it looks like this time they will indeed be successful. Fortification was thrown down. It's, of course, now unavailable. They will lose the top racks, Burden United. They do have the Sing Sing Troll back in 10 seconds. And looks like Asus, at least for the time, will back out. We'll see where they decide to head next, but 21-13, and we're still seeing in that fight that even though the power spike from Burden United might have just arisen, it's still very much there for the team of Asus.
If Sing had MKB for that team fight, I think they would have killed SF very quickly, and then the rest of the team fight would have been a disaster, because Necroman and Sing tunnel vision G that entire time. They didn't attack a single other person. And Come With Me gets like static stormed, he gets crushed by like Shaker, and damage output from that doesn't get an ulti off, and no MKB means that the evasion did some serious work on that Shadow Fiend, and he was just way, way too tanky for them to end up taking down, even with both cores just tunnel visioning him. So unfortunate for Burden United. The Chen being dead also hurt a lot. Not being at that team fight, no penitence for the extra damage output, no test of faith, that even would have killed him. So the Chen dying, normally you say a Chen's team fight contribution at 36 minutes isn't spectacular, but him being there probably would have killed G at the very least.
Indeed, they just needed that something extra to just even take down one of the heroes of Asus. Yeah, 21-13, still with the Aegis and the cheese in their hands. Asus are in a very, very strong position to try and push down this final lane here, as a couple of creeps that Chen had stolen from the army of the Radiant were in that bottom lane, helping the push, get the momentum back, favoring Burden United. But here we go. You see them going under the cover of Nature's guys here. G, Lil, FNG, of course, on the Treant himself. And then comes the Earthshaker following the path, as well as Bristleback. The full 5-man roster now, looking to break the final part of the Burden United base. No fortification is available still. In goes Illidan to the high ground onto the tier 3. The punches from G flying through up to the high ground as well. Come with me, Sing Sing, Necroman. Sing Sing gets glimpsed back. Oh, this is really bad. They're down a troll for this very, very key fight. This could be it for Burden United. Illidan going straight for the racks. Necroman pounces in. Fisher is going to hold him back. And the damage from G. The hook shot in from Paris onto G, holding him back for a little bit. But we're seeing Burden United. They've just got to run back. Sing Sing finally manages to return after getting glimpsed back. But it's too late. Mega creeps have been summoned. GG is called. Draskell, where did it all go so wrong for Burden in that game?
I'd say somewhere along the lines of Mynuts walking into the enemy jungle and then being dead for possibly the most important fight of the game.
Really?
Outside of the high ground defense that they had in top lane, that was a point where Burden United go, okay, we can do this, right? Illidan just like tunnel visioned our Witch Doctor, died inside of the base, did nothing. We killed the Shadow Fiend before anyone on our team was even dead. That was the pivotal stage where Burden United could have won the game had they played maybe just a little bit more cautiously and didn't give up a free kill before a Roshan fight. Because really, the teams like Asus who pick these drafts realize that they have to win the game before like the Troll and the Slark really get online. So the best way to do that, to break high ground, is to ensure that you get Roshan. So when you get Roshan, you go up high ground, you sacrifice one hero, and then he comes back with an Aegis, and you just continue the push, and you hope that the enemy team can't fend you off. Now, they squandered their Aegis really hard, so that was a huge opening to say, okay, now we just take it slow, we get a couple more items on our 2 cores, and we just win the game based on having a superior late game. And then mistakes were made, and game was hard.
Game was very hard indeed, so that will be a minus 30 MMR there for Burden United as they do lose to Asus.Polar 2-1 in the first week's finals. So Asus.Polar, they will go straight through to our group stage that will be on week 5 of the tournament. And Burden United out. I think there's a high possibility we might see them get the chance to try and qualify again next week, which you'll be able to catch, of course, from Tuesday. But as casting and games go, that is it for the first week. I've certainly enjoyed the games. Draskell, have you had fun?
Yeah, I had a good time. It was fun commentating with you.
Aww.
Hopefully you're back next week, Kappa. I know you'll be here, though, so.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Unless I've said something that I haven't realized. But hopefully Asus ROG DreamLeague will invite me back. Me and Draskell will see you next time, chat. But now, back over to the hosts and enjoy their insightful insight here at the Asus ROG DreamLeague. See you about.